Okay, let's get into this. We're doing a deep dive today into a stack of material that, frankly, you're not supposed to see. This is usually reserved for family offices, the ultra high net worth crowd.
Exactly. We're talking deep private banking documents.
The subject on the surface is a NASDAQ IPO for a company called MicroCosmic, MICO for short. But the stock ticker is almost a distraction.
It was the real story, when you read the internal research, is about how top-tier capital is positioning itself for a predicted event.
The 2026 Great Awakening, a full global systemic reset.
And what's fascinating is how this material values assets. It's a complete paradigm shift.
Yeah,
We're not talking about PE ratios or quarterly profits in any traditional sense.
got it all.
No. This investment thesis treats a very specific kind of information, what they call civilizational survival facts, as the ultimate asset class. It's the capitalization of science fiction, turning it into, well, into truth assets.
That's the key right there. Fiction becoming fact.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to unpack the MICO IPO structure, its core IP, which claims to cover 200 million years of history.
Which is an incredible claim.
It is. And most importantly, we're going to get into the details of the private founder side letter. This thing is not about buying shares. It's a contract for what they call sovereign privileges. It's designed for long-term family preservation.
You said it. It's less of an investment and more like an insurance policy against the collapse of reality itself.
So let's start with the catalyst for all of this. The so-called 2026 Great Awakening era.
Right. The documents are very clinical about it. They define it as this collective psychological shockwave.
A shockwave caused by what?
Caused by the collapse of our existing frameworks,
Yeah.
science, history, religion, all of it, when extraterrestrial civilization shifts from, speculation to undeniable fact.
First contact.
First contact. And that's the market condition MICO is designed for. In a moment of mass societal trauma, value shifts. It moves from growth potential to psychological utility.
MICO is positioned to capitalize on that, to be the first to formally monetize these new civilization historical facts. But how do you put a price on that? Their goal is to provide an awakening navigation map and a spiritual refuge. I mean, that sounds more like a church than a NASDAQ company.
Well, it sort of functions as both. The real value isn't media streaming revenue, it's crisis insulation. MICO offers a prepackaged explanation for the chaos.
And their core asset, the IP, is called the prehistoric Star War of Hao Yi shooting down 9 suns.
And this isn't pitched as entertainment. They claim this IP is the definitive factual account of 200 million years of true civilizational history.
200 million. I mean, that just erases our entire understanding of human evolution.
It's meant to. It's designed to be completely disruptive. The narrative links ancient myths, like from the classic of mountains and seas, directly to modern UFO phenomena.
And the strategic value there is.
It's about meeting a need. When that global shock hits, people will have a desperate need for belonging and for security.
Because if our whole history is a lie, then, who are we?
Precisely. And this IP gives you an immediate answer. It creates a new star citizen identity. It reframes humanity from being victims of an unknown force to being part of an ancient protected culture. And crucially, it's designed to neutralize fear by revealing Earth's own protection mechanisms.
Like the so-called Moon Guardian.
Exactly. They're selling identity and stability on an existential scale. And in a societal collapse, according to this thesis, that's priceless.
Which brings us to the valuation, because this is where, as you said, traditional finance just goes out the window.
It completely breaks down. You can't use a standard price-to-earnings ratio. MICO is projected to trade with a PE of, get this, 45x to 60x.
60 times. Let's give some context here. A stable, old-school industrial company might trade at 15x. A cutting-edge AI firm might hit 40x or 50x before they're even profitable. This is a cultural content company.
But see, they argue it's based on event-driven explosive growth, on psychological stickiness. They've actually invented a new term for it.
Okay.
They call it the scarcity awakening multiplier.
The scarcity awakening multiplier. Let's break that down.
The initial IPO valuation is between $3.5 and about $5.2 billion. But that number includes a huge psychological premium of 30 to 50%.
A premium for what?
For having a monopoly. They claim to provide the only factual explanation for alien intervention and the answers for human destiny. If you believe that, and you're the only game in town, then the valuation suddenly seems, well, justified to them.
And these truths they're selling, they aren't just ideas, they're tied to actual physical locations they plan to monetize.
Right. The IP makes two huge claims that redefine geography. The first one is about the moon.
The moon narrative.
Yes. They state as fact that the moon is a hollow, artificial, planetary-grade guardianship,
A spaceship.
a giant one,
Yeah.
built by a prehistoric civilization concealing technology that has been actively protecting Earth for 200 million years. So the moon stops being a rock in the sky and becomes a defensive asset.
And the second claim hits a bit closer to home, Antarctica.
It reveals a connection point in Antarctica to an inner Earth world they call Agartha, and it points to massive subice relics. So this opens up a whole new dimension of Earth, a whole new frontier.
And in their valuation, these aren't just stories, they're physical assets.
Physical assets with future revenue streams. And to make that value tangible and collapse-proof, they created a digital asset.
The ARK token, the Antarctic Lunar Revelations Key.
It's a real-world asset token, an RWA.
So for anyone listening, an RWA basically uses blockchain to create a digital title to a real, tangible thing. In this case,
It digitalizes the future development revenue from the moon guardianship and the Antarctic ruins.
so investors can hold civilization property rights.
Exactly. And by lodging this RWA through Swiss digital banking, they're trying to make it immune to any single country's collapse. If the monetary system resets, if bank accounts get wiped, this crypto-secured asset tied to neutral territory is supposed to survive.
Which brings us to the real heart of this strategy. It's not about making money, it's about preservation. And that's all in the founder's side letter.
The CEO calls it a family continuation contract. That tells you everything.
It does. It's about access. It provides information priority and civilization access rights, things money can't buy in a crisis.
It's the ultimate hedge.
Let's dissect the three sovereign privileges. Privilege number one is priority disclosure access.
This one is huge. MICO promises to send these investors deep decode reports on the moon, on Antarctica, on first contact,
How far in advance?
72 hours before public disclosure.
72 hours. In a normal market, that's a long weekend. In a panic.
It's an eternity. It gives a family office enough time to completely reallocate their global portfolio, shift currencies, liquidate assets, secure commodities, all before the rest of the world even knows what's happening. It's a guarantee of operational continuity.
But the second privilege is on another level entirely. This is about physical safety. It's called Agartha strategic hedging.
This is the ultimate security feature. It's the evacuation plan. The agreement guarantees that if major surface frequency shocks, geopolitical resets, happen in late 2026.
Then the investor and their immediate family get priority assistance.
From a dedicated awakening navigator
A navigator to where?
to the safe oscillation frequency zone. It's described as a safety buffer near the entrance to this inner Earth civilization, Agartha.
So it's a literal physical escape route.
It's a verified evacuation to a protected, non-surface location when the world above becomes unstable. For these families, that's the ultimate asset. Not wealth, but guaranteed physical security outside the system.
That's what they mean by a cross-dimensional asset, something that exists outside of normal jurisdiction. And finally, there's privilege 3, technology and life sciences.
Right, this is about securing the family's power after the crisis. They get the first right of refusal on follow-on investments.
For what kind of projects?
Two key ones drive from the IP. The first is crystal energy conversion technology, which sounds like a path to future energy dominance.
And the second?
The second is even more ambitious. It's the 200 million year prehistoric longevity gene repair program.
So it's not just an escape plan. It's a plan for securing basically unlimited energy and a much longer life.
That's the clear implication. The CEO is quoted saying that when old bank accounts are worthless, this agreement guarantees truth rights and cross-dimensional assets. It ensures they don't just survive the reset, they get a foundational seat at the table of whatever new order emerges.
We started this looking at what seemed like a niche NASDAQ IPO, but it's really a blueprint for a new civilization. They aren't just selling content, they're selling access, privileged access to a reality transition.
The strategy for the family office is crystal clear. It's not about short-term ROI. It's about acquiring these sovereign privileges, informational, physical, technological, to hedge against a total systemic reset. They're using prehistoric secrets to secure a multi-generational future.
So here's the final thought for you to consider. This side letter, which very serious, very sophisticated investors are signing, makes the claim that if our system collapses, the only real assets left will be access to hidden truth and physical safety in a place called Agartha. If that is being treated as a legitimate investment thesis by the world's top private capital, what does that tell you about the kind of catastrophe they are truly preparing for?